Hi, I'm Sensei Kevin. In today's Coach's Tip, we're going to talk about common mistakes students make when punching. We don't want our hand to be loose. We have to make sure that we're making a strong fist. We like to put our thumb on top. So you curl your fingers and you put your thumb right on top. And we have to make sure that that is really strong. We don't want it to be like loose. Don't want your fingers to be loose. You don't want your wrist to be loose. If you're hitting something, the wrist has to be tight, fingers have to be tight. If the wrist is loose, well, you could break your hand very easily. You could break your wrist. So we don't want it to go either way. We want it to be strong and contained. So that's a common mistake. And that applies to any of our karate punches. So not just a closed fist, but also like a chop. We won't want our fingers to be loose and our hand to be loose. We want everything to be tight. Sometimes people will throw a punch and they'll drop their hand, kind of like that. So we would prefer throw a punch and come right back, boom, like that. So wherever you start your punch is where it finishes. But it's like a straight line coming right back, not like that. If you're in a fight with somebody and you throw the punch and you miss them and you drop it, it gives them a great opportunity to hit you back. Whereas if it comes back on a straight line, you're able to protect yourself much better. Another common mistake students make sometimes is like fighting or sparring. They'll do a tell, like each time they punch, they might like shake their fist and then punch. So they bounce around, and then when they want to throw their punch, they like shake their fist and punch. Or else they'll do this and then punch. So they won't punch right from where their guard is, like they're supposed to. What they'll do is pull it back or something right before they punch. And so that's a common mistake. You do that, then your opponent's going to see that, and every time you punch, you're kind of signaling, hey, I'm going to throw a punch, and that gives them the opportunity to hit you before you're able to do that punch. What they'll do is they're just too tight with their punches. So they're not getting the full extension of their punches. They're not turning their shoulders enough. So if you're short with your punches, then that's going to affect your reach and your ability to hit your opponent, as well as your power too. Sometimes if somebody's in really close, we'll have shorter punches, but if they're further away and we want to stay away from them, then we want to really be able to reach with their punches. Another common mistake students make when punching is their head will move all over the place. So I don't know if their neck is not strong enough, but they're kind of like, their head's like bobbling around. So we want to make sure that we have our neck strong, chin down, strong position. Sometimes students will do this, they'll throw a punch and their head will move with their punch. Like they're not thinking of keeping their head looking at their opponent. So like if I do a hook punch, my head is still that way, it's not turning. That would be bad. Okay? Boom, head's still that way. We also don't want our head like sometimes people, they'll have these little glitches with their head where their head is just bouncing around and it's just not in a good position. It's good to try to move your head like away from your opponent and stuff, but you want it to be in a solid position with your chin down. You don't want to be punching and sticking your chin up or bobbling that head around. Hope that makes sense. If you get hit by the punch and your head's not in a good position, then you won't be able to absorb that punch as well. There's many different ways of holding our guard. If you have a low guard, you might get hit in the head a lot more, or your head's more available to be hit in. But your body, you might be able to protect better. If you have a high guard, you can protect your head a lot better, but your body is a little more vulnerable. So depending on your opponent, you might have a higher or lower guard. In general, we don't want to have like this. This would not be so good because this is giving our opponent a lot of areas that they can target us. So elbows in, hands up strong. You could have your hands open if you wanted. That would be okay too. Or hands closed.